Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and today we're looking at the Wishdoit Captain Kidd mechanical watch with diamonds. I guess these aren't real diamonds, which from the price, you can probably already know that. The price for the watch is $369. I'm not really much of a jewelry person, so I don't know all that much about jewelry, but these are not diamonds. These are zircon, Z-I-C-R-O-N, which are between 7 and 7.5 on the Mohs scale of hardness. Diamonds are a 10. I believe diamonds are the hardest material. And then zircon is not to be confused with cubic zirconia, which I think are 8 to 8.5 on the Mohs scale. Cubic zirconia are a man-made element. Zircons are natural, just like diamonds. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the watch here. As I mentioned, it is a fun watch. A little bit of a blue tape on there. It's hung on there pretty good. I've worn this watch for a while, so just noticing that now. But anyway, this is a cool looking watch. The diamonds, I'll call them diamonds, they kind of glisten in the sun. Apparently they don't glisten as much as actual diamonds. Diamonds are a little bit brighter of a... There's a number scale associated with the brightness. I did a little bit of research on it, but anyway, onto the watch here. We have a curved mineral crystal. We have a multi-layer skeletonized dial. This thing is very three-dimensional. Of course, it's three-dimensional, but there are a lot of dimensions to this. A lot of different finishings. It is, like I said, a cool watch. As I'm winding it, it reminded me of one thing. You can kind of pinch your finger a little bit, not like a hard pinch, but you can, it'll wake you up. That's all. That's what I'm going to say there. It doesn't necessarily hurt, but you'll feel it there. Just kind of get your finger trapped in between here. Not a big deal, but you can hand wind this. It also has the automatic skeletonized rotor on the back. You get a very nice amount of power reserve with this watch. You get 80 hours of power reserve. The second hand beats at 8 beats per second. So you actually get more power reserve on this watch than the watch I've been wearing for the past few days. I've been wearing my Submariner. This has 70 hours of power reserve with 8 beats per second. So more power reserve on this watch here. And you get a cool look at everything in the back here too. You can see, well, let's get this thing winding. I can show you. Pay attention to that gear right there. The rotor kind of moved a little bit too. And then behind this large gear right there is the mainspring, which you can see better from the front. So another cool thing about this watch is it's skeletonized, so you can see my finger all the way through it there. So I think it's a pretty neat watch. Reading the back here, automatic movement, water resistant, and then Wishdoit. It is a large watch, but it wears very comfortably for the size and for the weight. 316L stainless steel case. We do also have lume on the watch. We have lume at the 12 indices here, and then also the 3 and 9. 3 is hidden, so let's move the handset back. I will compare the lume here to my Seiko SKX, and I'll show you a side-by-side size comparison. I like these bridges here. These jewels are pretty cool looking too. Under UV light, they kind of change color, so I'll show you that as well. So it's a very neat watch. It's not necessarily my style of watch, but I don't have anything else with diamonds. I might have a ring with diamonds, but I don't know. It's like a hand-me-down ring, but I don't have any other watches or anything with diamonds, so kind of interesting that they sent this over for us to check out. It has the Tano case shape, which again wears comfortably on wrist. There are other watch brands with the similar case shape as well. And as you've seen here, it does have a push-pull crown, which is engraved. It's a very large crown, which makes it easy to hand wind, to be a little bit more torque here. And then each turn, you get more turning on the inside there. So that's the benefit of the larger crown. Also looks pretty cool too. The watch is water resistant, so to me that means hand washing and rain only. I would not swim with this watch. The strap is a fluorine rubber strap, and I guess fluorine is synonymous with FKM, so Same thing as the FKM strap. We do have stainless steel milled hardware, so nice hardware. It's not just a cheap stamping, it's actual milled hardware. So on to the size of the watch. Doesn't have lugs, but we'll call it, I guess, lug to lug here. 50.5 millimeter, 43 millimeter. It's not a case diameter, but case width, 43.5. Thickness, it is on the thicker side at 15.5, but you have to fit all the skeletonized stuff in there, and then it has that real nice 80-hour power reserve. However, the water resistance is not there with this thickness. So 15.5 thick. We'll call it lug width. The width of the strap here is 29, and it tapers down to 20 millimeter. That crown is a large crown again at 11 millimeters, and the watch weighs in at 131 grams. Which I believe this SKX is a very similar weight as well. It does have the hollow end links, and then you got the stamped clasp there, so kind of top heavy on this one. Again, this one wears very nicely on wrist. I've worn it quite a bit, and I've worn the other Wishdoit watches I have with a similar case. I will do a Wishdoit video here in the future with all of my watches from them. I think I have 5 of them now. I have them all sitting off to the side over here. But the SKX is maybe a little bit on the larger side, not a terribly large watch, but this watch kind of dwarfs it. If you want a size comparison here. The thickness as well, 13.5 versus that 15.5. So we'll compare these two to the Loom, and then I'll just show it next to the Submariner if you're more familiar with the Submariner case size. The Submariner looks a little larger than the SKX because the bezel actually overhangs the case. On the SKX, the case is larger than the bezel, but here you go for size reference here. And then the thickness will be quite a bit different. This is about a millimeter thinner than the SKX. So let me show you this watch on my 6.5-inch wrist, 52 millimeter wristband. So I'm probably on the smaller end of a wrist size for this watch. This feels a little bit snug to me. I mean, it's not uncomfortable. You have these areas here that kind of stretch, so you can really torque it down on wrist. Yeah, this feels maybe a tad bit loose, but so if you have a 6.5, maybe even 6.25 inch wrist, you can wear this watch, and you can go all the way up to, I think it was 8 inches. I had actually 8.5. I had figured out in the unboxing video. Yeah, you can go up to 8.5 with this pretty easily. You can see we still have another hole down there. So here it is. I wonder if I can get some light shining off of these crystals here. Depending on the way the light hits, yeah, you can get some, see the sparkles there. So out in the sun, it looks a little bit different. So, like I said, fun watch. Not necessarily my style, but if you like the look of these watches with the automatic movement and then all the skeletonization as well, I don't think there's anything else that comes close to the price for this type of watch here. So, Wishdoit Captain Kidd mechanical watch with diamonds. Let's take a look at the Loom. All right, so the Wishdoit is kind of elevated off the table here, which could potentially give it an advantage for the Loom, but I don't think it's really going to matter here. The SKX should blow it away for Loom. You can see those rubies I was talking about. They're glowing red here, which is really cool. And actually I can see some other rubies glowing beneath some of the skeletonized movement there. So let's turn off the light. Also, those crystals are kind of sparkling too. No, actually, the Loom's pretty decent on this Wishdoit compared to the SKX. It is dying out a bit here, but you know, it's more of a casual, fun watch. It's not a serious dive watch, so I wouldn't expect the Loom to be as good as the SKX. But the Loom is really not bad, actually. It's better than some other name brand watches that I own. All right, that will conclude this video. As always, thank you for your time, and thank you for watching.